Hello, everyone out there in podcast land, and welcome to Season 1, Episode 9 of the EveryDay Podcast, your gateway to the casual side of business. I'm your host, Joe Basile, the manager and soundboard editor, back behind the microphone again this week, and I will let our wonderful host introduce himself.
I thought you were the host. Stealing my job over there. Hello, everyone. My name is Matt Esposito, and today we have the wonderful BarterSaves team on. Welcome, George and Rene. We'll let you guys introduce yourselves.
I'm Rene Ackerson, co-founder of BarterSaves. I did get the memo to wear a black shirt today, so good job.
And I'm George Ackerson, also co-founder, and I've got the fancy black gear on today, too.
So here we are, Episode 9, titled Everyday Biz with BarterSaves. So for the audience, we did a little switcheroo. We aired the baseball and business episode before this one. We had some technical difficulties last time when it came to recording, but we are back on track. For the audience, if you haven't checked it out, check out last week's episode, which I just mentioned, Baseball and Business, where we had the state championship team, some of their members on, and we had a great discussion about sports and business, maybe a little bit more of sports. But
it was a great episode. Definitely check it out.
Where we talked Yankees, Mets, all things baseball. And just a general podcast update. So we did announce the giveaway last week. You'll find the details for that on the giveaway post on social media, so make sure to enter that. We'll be picking a winner at the end of the season, which is, 3 or 4 weeks from the time this episode is airing, so time is running pretty short. All right, Joe, if you want to give a little bit of a topics breakdown.
Sure. For the topics breakdown, we're going to dive into what is BarterSaves and talk about George and Rene, your individual backgrounds. Then we're going to have some roundtable questions, just figuring out what we'll ask. And last but not least, the future of barter. And before that, why businesses of all sizes should explore entities like BarterSaves, and talking about the importance of networking and outreach. So to start with a very simple question, what is BarterSaves?
George?
BarterSaves is a wonderful company. I'm a little biased, obviously, but what I can tell you
Best
is...
barter exchange around.
That's right. And what it is a local platform for business owners where they can buy and sell things from one another without actually exchanging cash to those vendors. So it really helps you and enables you to save your actual cash you're generating from the business and become more profitable, and at the same time acquire the things you need for your business or personal life without it costing you a ton of real cash. So it's a really great platform to save your cash, get new customers, get a new track of revenue, and that's about it. Would you say anything besides that?
We are the sales team for our clients. We help market them and help them find a new revenue stream that they wouldn't have if they didn't partner with us. So, if you're a business owner and your car breaks down and your average car repair is $1,000, a lot of times people aren't prepared in the cash world to be like, oh my God, here's $1,000 to fix my car. But when you're part of a barter exchange, you have this additional revenue stream that you don't have to tap into your credit card or you pay cash for, and you'll be able to do these things that are, painful with the car, but fun things like limos and weddings and jewelry and everything else you can imagine, advertising, without having to spend your hard-earned cash. So I think it's a great benefit for business owners. And I became a business owner, I guess, over 10 years ago for the first time in a different business, and I had no idea things like this even existed. Mm-hmm. It really is not just helpful for business owners so they get an extra revenue stream, but also really helpful with networking and marketing and meeting new friends. And, there's sometimes certain businesses can partner up, for example, if you're having a wedding and you have a florist and you have a bakery, well, they should meet each other. And so when they get cash clients, they can also make some connections in the cash world. So I think it helps business owners in so many different ways.
Absolutely. And you guys have been around for 5 or 6 years, if I remember correctly?
We founded it about 5 years ago,
Okay.
Sure. Went live in market just over 4 years ago, so it took some time to build the brand and some platform things. Mm-hmm. And and we've grown pretty quickly since then, especially considering team's not too big. We've got a couple of us here, right? So
yeah, and now you're at a couple hundred businesses, right?
Yeah, I think we got more than that, but
Oh, wow.
yeah, a few hundred. Yeah.
Wow,
So-
I can't even keep track anymore. Every time I look in the directory, I feel like there's something new.
Yeah.
And,
Well, the idea is also you want as many as possible with the view of helping people have more liquidity, more options. People like number one reason why any of us do anything typically is for the purpose of convenience.
Right.
And then to quickly follow onto that is to save your cash, right? And even look, let's face it, even the rich, right? There's a reason the rich get richer.
Right.
They actually want to save cash too.
Absolutely.
Right? So it's
Yeah.
a really great platform for kind of all ends of the
Yeah.
spectrum. But yes, we have quite a few customers.
Oh yeah,
now.
there's always a ton of options in the network. Every time we even go out to eat, we can never decide like where we want to go within the network. It's always a 15-minute, 20-minute conversation just to decide where we're going.
Yeah, dozens of restaurant options.
And for the audience, just so you guys know, EDE has been a part of BarterSaves for close to a year now. A little bit under a year.
Right about a year, I think it was.
Happy anniversary, guys.
Thank you. And now EveryDay Studios is now part of the Barter network. So we're excited for that too. We're going to be offering all of our services within there, all photo and video for weddings, mitzvahs, everything from A to Z for the personal market. So definitely going to be...
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Yeah, and I was just talking with Lisa about who we can, network it with, like the DJs and the florists, how you were just saying.
Oh, yeah.
So we're going to be within that wedding networking group, definitely. So
Sweet.
do you guys want to expand upon your individual backgrounds? I know, Rene, you said you had a business before this.
Yeah, I went to college for business marketing and had positions of, senior account executive and manager, and always did things in the print and digital world. And then around 2011, I started a magazine that went out to 75,000 homes in Monmouth County. I did that for several years, and then we started BarterSaves together. So what's interesting is when I owned the magazine, I had all these people that were paying anywhere from $300 to $1,000 cash or credit card per ad.
Right.
And then when I transitioned into the barter exchange, the same small businesses that were running ads to promote themselves were my first customers when I started the barter exchange. And then, saying to someone, hey, you don't have to pay $1,000 for an ad anymore. That was a very easy sell because they're able to now get, all these cash customers without having to spend, $1,000 for the ad.
Right.
So it greatly improved these businesses' bottom lines.
Yeah.
And then, and George will kind of fill in the blank how we came together with this. But if you want to tell about your background.
So, my background is, I cut my teeth. Very similar background to Rene, actually. Cut my teeth in ad sales way back to over 20 years ago now. I used to sell cartoons on yellow paper. That's Yellow Pages for anyone out there.
So you were Yellow Book, I was Yellow Pages.
You were
We
the
had
real
two
Yellow
different-
Pages, right. I
But
was
we
like...
both worked that Yellow.
We did that. I did that for a little while. Did kind of the New York City thing, which was very fun and interesting. It was a great place to cut your teeth because as a sales rep going door to door, there's maybe no other harder sales job. I mean, there's probably a few, but it's one of the harder ones, So that was it gives you some perseverance. Learn how to persevere through some challenges. And worked there through 9/11, all that. The 9/11. I think I left the city in 2002. So did that for a couple of years and ended up moving on into billing related business, and then really kind of kickstart the last decade or maybe more into tech. So it really was heavy into technology, web-based platforms, software, and that sort of thing. And then had a stint where I owned an app company, which was fun, and moved out of that business pretty much the same time that Rene was looking to transition out of the magazine and the media company, and started this. Saw it a mile away, right? I mean, looking at this type of business and say to yourself, wow, there's tens of millions of LLCs, small businesses in the United States, and they all have the same problem, which is not wanting to pay and spend $1,000 for an ad if they don't have to,
Right.
but still get cash customers out of it. So
Absolutely.
saw a big opportunity, and that's why we decided to do this.
So you lived in the city for
For a little bit, yeah.
Okay.
Lived in the city, lived in Jersey.
Yeah.
So
Okay.
definitely prefer Jersey. Just
Yeah,
so
I was
you know.
gonna say I'm definitely not a city boy.
Yeah.
Joe, do you want to start with your roundtable questions? I know you came up with a couple for George and Rene.
Yeah, sure. So I guess just to start, what inspired you both to start BarterSaves?
When I had the magazine, I did a lot of bartering. I bartered a car. I bartered, my hair, my nails. I was doing a lot in that category. And George and I just wanted to take it to the next level because he saw what I was doing with my magazine business. And he was like, I had no idea this existed. This is awesome. And I think that I would say that 60% of the business owners out there don't know what barter is. Maybe
Right.
40%. I was in my 30s when I found out what it was, on the level that we do it at, where it's not a one-on-one barter, it's a one-to-many type exchange. So George and I just really put our heads together, how can we make this experience great for business owners where they're getting a lot of value. And so it took us a couple months to go out there and get businesses because you don't want to start with like 2 people.
Right.
So we made sure we had about 50 businesses at least when we launched. And, it just gets better and better every year.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And I think the key also kind of kicking that off was that that we saw the opportunity and went after it pretty quickly, and there was a need. If there's any lesson, it's like find a need in the market and fill that need, right? If you're a business owner,
Absolutely.
and we felt like that's what we were doing,
So I guess, Matt, you could ask the next question.
All right. So, what's your favorite part about being owners of a small business?
Ooh, favorite part. What's your favorite part?
The creativity and the flexibility, meaning, anytime we get new ideas, or if we want to, bring in a different type of business, we have that ability to kind of change things and revise things as we go along. And we go out and see customers all the time, but if there's days, where we just want to do brokering calls or call our clients, not having a boss to tell you what to do and you make your own rules is, very liberating.
Yeah, it's kind of neat having like your clients being your boss. You know what I mean? Because it's a different dynamic.
No, absolutely.
Because you're out to really help
Serve
and
the
like
clients.
serve them exactly.
Yeah.
And so that's what I love most about it. Every time we bring somebody on, it's just another opportunity to serve, another opportunity to serve, another opportunity to just give. One of the lessons you learn in life, if you're around as long as me, an old man, is, the more you give, the more you get back in the world. But just give without,
Of course.
hardcore expectation, right?
Yeah,
and it
absolutely.
and it all comes back.
And even like the Christmas party we had last year, I think we did it for 2 years, but our first couple years we weren't doing Christmas parties. And, having those ideas like, hey, George, wouldn't it be cool if we had everybody together and then they could shop and, get to meet each other. And then the following year we took that idea and improved upon it. So to just be constantly improving and creating and, giving people more value is really our favorite part.
Yeah, I think I saw a cool video about that.
Yeah, that's your own little plug. And I will say this, my brief story for the podcast world out there is the kudos I would give you is we hired you to come in, do our holiday party video. We wanted like a minute video just to highlight what the event was. Kind of just said that. We didn't really like map it out and get all like detailed with it. And I think what I enjoyed working most with you and your team and you, Joe, is you just kind of listened, and then you almost intuitively knew what we wanted. Came to the event, participated, I saw the guy running around the camera throughout the event, wasn't disruptive at all. It was like you were a part of it.
Right.
And then after the fact, what I loved, and this is the best sales pitch for you, is that when we looked at the video, we watched it for the first time, I looked at Rene and I said, man, I don't want to change one thing. Not a thing. There's actually nothing. And that's hard to do for any service provider.
Absolutely.
No one's perfect. I mean, we could have changed 10 things, right? And no one's perfect. So for you to get it, first time we ever worked together, first video, first shot, you listened, and I think that was a big part of it. Like you knew what we were looking for. And then on the back end where we didn't change one thing, kudos to you guys, man. Seriously. Like that's very rare.
Yeah.
Very rare.
Thank you.
And if anybody wants to see this video, go to BarterSaves.com. It's on the homepage. You'll see a Christmas party. So.
It's a 2019 holiday extravaganza,
Yeah,
I think
yeah.
what it's called. Yep.
Yeah. Is there going to be one this year, or we're feeling it out?
We're trying to figure this out. Like,
Yeah.
are we allowed? I mean, what's the size capacity people?
I
Like,
think it's been upped recently.
Has it been
right?
upped?
Yeah, I think so. Let's hope it stays.
The challenge was, the last I heard, it was like maybe it was 25, and then maybe it was going to 150. But our challenge is, and it's a good problem to have, right?
No,
is
absolutely.
we definitely will have more than 150 people there.
Yeah.
So we had some weird storm. We had 300 and something businesses RSVP last year. Last minute,
The
because
only day it snowed,
the
right?
only day it snowed.
I remember it was snowing.
We had 100 and something didn't show up. We still had a couple hundred businesses show up. So so this year, because we've grown so much, I gotta believe that it would be hundreds, and that's probably not legal in Jersey, right? Or well, I don't know, legal is the right word, but you know what I'm saying with
Yeah.
the corona.
More importantly, we don't want to be responsible
Oh,
this
no, of
year for
course,
anybody
yeah.
getting
Yeah,
sick. So we
yeah,
have some really good ideas
Yeah.
that I think we could still do what the Christmas party did, but in a very unique fashion. We'll be announcing it in a couple weeks, but we probably won't necessarily do a huge rager this year, but next year we'll do it. But we're still gonna have that shopping
have
experience in a
something,
very
yeah.
unique way.
Which is a bummer, because I love to party, man. Half
Yeah.
of these, these events
I know,
for me
yeah.
is just an excuse to party. It's like my college days, excuse to party all over again.
All right, Joe, you want to move on to the next question?
Sure. So, would you change anything about your prospective journeys when it comes to business, or would you keep everything mostly the same up to this point?
I'll jump in. I wouldn't change a darn thing. I think in life you learn, learning's in the struggle,
Always. Yeah.
right? So you got to have pain, you got to have experiences to help you appreciate, and grow. That's when you grow, right?
Right.
The biggest times in life are not when things are all smooth sailing. It's growth happens through pain, and so I wouldn't change a thing. Now, and I tell you though, I've looked back and I've been like, God, that was so hard. Wouldn't life have been a little bit better? But who knows if it would have been, right?
Right.
So for me, the journey has not been the journey that I thought it would be, in the sense that when I was graduating college in my early 20s and going to New York City and, full of piss and vinegar, I was, I thought, oh, by the time I'm 30, I'll be a gazillionaire. And by the time I'm 40, I'll be a philanthropist and all this. And it hasn't, right? It didn't work out exactly like that, but that's okay. Right? Because life is made up of the actual journey. So I've started to appreciate the process of it, as opposed to always looking at the destination of what I thought it should be. So, so now, so that's why I wouldn't change it, because now what it's enabled me to do is enjoy that process, get lost in the process of life, right? Whether it be in business or in personal, it's
Right.
just enjoy those moments, because that
Absolutely.
is what life is made of, right? So what about you, baby? Would you change anything?
No, not at all. I mean, everybody makes mistakes, but I agree with you. You learn from your lessons, so no.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And believe me, we ain't perfect, dude.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
you could look back. What about you? Would you change anything? I mean, you're young into this game, but
I don't think so, because that's why I am where I am today. Like, I feel like the struggles that I had, and I'm still young, so I'm sure I'm going to struggle even more, has shaped me to be the person I am today. So maybe, if I'd had easier back then, would I be where I am today, or who I am today?
yeah.
So, I'm a big believer that everything happens for a reason. So I don't think I would change anything.
I'll tell you one thing, and this applies to anyone, whether you're a business owner listening to this or just not a business owner, you're an employee, work somewhere, or whatever, is if you look at the macro situation all of us are living through right now, you'll look back on this time, 2020, and you'll say, wow, I actually lived through what was perceived to be, whether this coronavirus thing, right, where businesses globally are shut down. Like,
Right.
we will never see that again in our life, knock on wood, right? So if you can survive that, which is our version of, I'll call it our version of the Great Depression, we'll call it, right, or whatever, because we still haven't seen the ultimate fallout from this whole thing from a financial perspective. But if you can look back and you're like, I lived through that, you can accomplish anything. I really believe that, right? Like,
Right.
all of us will look back on these experiences and we will realize we have persevered through something that's really amazing, So
Yeah, pivoting. Everybody's got to pivot.
everyone's got to pivot, and if you don't, then that's okay. I mean, you just may not survive.
Absolutely.
What do they say? It's not the smartest. I think it's not the smartest or the strongest that survive. It's the one who's most flexible, right? The one who gets ahead.
I could agree because I had to adjust my business model, and I'm sure you guys did too during the pandemic, and it hit just like a brick wall. You know, we didn't really see it coming, you know?
It was out of left field so fast, right?
Yeah.
We're eating out. Next week, everyone shut down.
Yep.
Like, what the heck?
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah. And I guess from a young entrepreneur's perspective, I'm glad I went through that now instead of later down the road. You know, I can imagine what would have been the difference if I had a larger office or just more overhead, you know, to deal with. So I think I also got lucky, you know, at the same time, you know, so.
And think about the lessons that you'll remember because of this
absolutely.
pain. Like when you're, whatever, you got a big staff now, but you can fast forward 5 years from now or 10 years and you're about to go into this 10-year lease or 5-year whatever, these commitments. And you'll remember this, though, to say, wait a second, I have that experience. You know, am I going to really want to do this? Or you may say, no, I want to double down on it, but just because you'll draw from this, you know?
Absolutely.
Draw from the pain.
All right, so last question. Where do you guys see BarterSaves in the next 3 to 5 years?
Just growing. You know, we have grown so much in the past 5 years. I mean, I can imagine in the next 5 years we'll probably triple down on and just grow, you know, beyond New Jersey.
Yeah, and I think we touched on a little bit before. It's about service and community outreach and getting people engaged with it. So education, right? So I see us doing that for the next 5 years. Really, the lifetime of the business is one to always that's the motto, like always serve more and more and more, and the results will kind of flesh themselves out. The byproduct, you know. So the other thing is I kind of try to look at what's happening in the macro, like the world,
Right.
You know, and where do I see us? Where do I see like the business, BarterSaves, and where do I see business, the economy going? You know, I try to look at these things. Not that I'm Nostradamus can figure it all out, but if you look at what's happening with cryptocurrencies and digital payment methodology, like you know Apple iPay and those types of Samsung Pay and those things, and you look at what's happening in certain countries of the world where you know, probably currency is becoming devalued right now because of we're printing money, right? Because of Corona and all that. And then you look at certain things that were happening even before this all happened with certain countries of the world, like where Sweden's actively taking out physical paper currency out of their monetary system. Why are they doing that? So you look at these 3 or 4 or 5 different things, right? And then you say to yourself, well, how can barter play kind of a role in that, right? Or can it play a role in that, you know? So when I look at like where is this business going to be, I look at it from the perspective that we have a really great opportunity.
Absolutely.
Like it's I think the transition, because it's not a one-to-one like Rene was describing before, it's a one-to-many. So therefore, if we can figure out a way at scale to enable more and more people to barter, right? Then it almost becomes an accepted medium of payment with a much larger audience because of these other factors that have nothing to do with our business that are actually happening in the world right now, right? So, which means people will trust it more and more and more because they'd rather trust their neighbor probably a lot of times than you know a neighbor in business than someone they don't know. So. I think we're here to stay. We got a lot of runway, and I'm excited about the possibilities.
And the thing is, with barter, you can actually. I'll give you an example. I was with one of my friends this weekend, and she was telling me that she hired this contractor for her house, and the contractor took the deposit, and she didn't hear from him again. In the barter world, that doesn't happen. It's almost like an insurance policy. You can trust the trade dollar, you know, more than you can credit cards, cash, and everything, because you have, you know, George and I backing you, and things like that just don't happen. So, in some ways, I think there's some great benefits.
Yeah, people can't run away. That's a big thing, right? But people also, right, especially they're going to see each other again. When you're part of a community, right, you know, if you don't do people right, you know, and word gets out, you know, and but you're part, like if we have another holiday party, they're going to see each other again, right? So there's less likelihood that those sorts of things happen.
No, a couple months ago when we were first looking to order like shirts and sweatshirts for the company, and we were looking through the directory like which place to choose, Andrew's like, well, which is better? I'm like, no, they're in the network. You know what I'm saying? Like they're already trustworthy and they do good business. So it's not more of choosing, you know, that's already been filtered out. So it's really just, you know, choose whichever one you want.
Yeah. And we try, you know what, that's it's interesting you bring that up. We try as owners to vet things out. But here's let's be real, right? Especially because of what's happened in the last few months, is certain businesses are up and down and sideways. So what you find being a part of this platform is because it's kind of a close knit, community of service providers. You even through hard times like this, you have people that are wanting to help, and but then you also have a situation where people don't have the fear of losing a customer long term by being dishonest, right? And taking your money and running or whatever, right?
Yeah.
So and there's situations where we've dealt with it through this last few months where maybe we've had to pull someone out of the directory because they're like really in a bad spot, and they're going out of business, or they did go out of business, So, so I think when you treat people and you kind of educate people that the community is the community, and you find that people are flexible. You also find that people want to help other people when they can, within the community. So, and there's a lot less risk because of that being a part of the platform,
No, absolutely.
Yeah.
All right. Joe, you want to get into the future of Barter before we get into our story and lesson of the week?
Why don't you do that topic?
All right. So, do you guys want to talk about how you think technology has affected Barter? I know, obviously, you guys now have an app for BarterSaves, so you're using technology to your advantage. But do you think things are going to change even, further down the road? Or how do you think you'll adjust, to utilize the technology we have today for BarterSaves specifically?
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to this part of the life cycle of this business because it's so in its infancy. There's so much possibility to leverage these computers that we carry around in our pockets called smartphones, and use this as a tool to create relationships and create more business because of those relationships via the BarterSaves exchange, right? So I think I'm really excited about where this could go because up to date, since the industry has been around kind of in a formalized aspect for the last 30 years, it's hasn't really progressed in terms of building something at scale. But I think the time is on the horizon where you can actually do that. That didn't exist when people tried it 20 years ago. 20 years ago, there was a few companies that tried to build an online barter system, B2B, got tons of funding, and I think it fell on its face because it was missing a critical element, which is that thing called convenience, the reason why we all do things, right? One of the biggest reasons why we all do things. And so now, you have this thing in our pocket that we can carry around and look for businesses that are close by, or call somebody up right away, because we see them, they know when they're part of the exchange to see if they have availability, those sorts of things. I think really are going to progress, make barter much more of a widespread tool for businesses to actually use. What do you think, tech-wise?
I mean, the fact that we got an app this year, I felt like, we're doing all the things that we should be in the digital world. And as the next thing comes along, I'm sure we'll be taking part of it.
Yeah.
But the app definitely makes things more convenient and just easier. So we've seen an uptick in transactions and sales since that got released.
And we're trying, one of the things that we're actively doing, Rene and I talk about all the time, all the time, like almost every day, is what's the next evolution? What's the next evolution of the business? It's almost like that phrase, was it Henry Ford? It says, if I would have asked the people what they wanted, they would have said faster horses. Right? So, and he invented the car. Like, I kind of feel like we're in that spot right now. We have the opportunity to be a Henry Ford.
Right.
I don't know if we'll be that. We'll see. Maybe we'll be that successful or more. But the idea is, we're looking to figure out what is the next evolution of this thing and how can we get it to scale with a lot of people, where they can benefit, in the way that they want to benefit, right? And maybe it's a variation of how we're doing it now. So we're actively looking at those things right now, leveraging technology, web-based things, mobile-based things. And I think, and I think we'll figure it out. I think we're on that path already. So
I'm definitely using the app a lot because it's more convenient. Perfect example. Yeah,
no doubt.
All right, so at the end of each episode, we do like a story or lesson of the week.
You missed the topic.
Oh, wow, you can go over them.
So the other topic that we just completely missed was about why businesses of all sizes should explore entities like BarterSaves with the importance of networking and outreach. And there's one area where both of our businesses have experience in, and that is networking events. Now, we have not exhibited at an event before. You have. What would you say is the difference between having an exhibitor table and just walking around and networking?
That to me is very easy because we'll go together and Barter, there's not many like mortgage brokers, insurance brokers that are in Barter. So when you're at a table, you have everybody coming up to your table, even people that aren't a good fit for your business at all.
Right.
So you got to talk to everybody.
Right.
But when you're walking around, you target, I may see a caterer and I'm like, Barter members need this. I'm just,
Right.
and I skip let's say the mortgage and the insurance booths, and I can make my time a lot more productive when I target who's going to serve the members the best. So walking around and me talking to the people, I feel is better. Now, if someone's very interested in Barter, of course they're going to go up to the booth. But what I've noticed is I get a lot of people that aren't a good fit also talking to me at the booth, which is fine. I like meeting people.
Absolutely.
But if you're actually looking to grow your business, it's better if you target. But we got both covered. And we do always sign up new members at these networking events. So it does work.
Absolutely.
Well, that's good. 'Cause I know for as long as we've been doing business, I don't think we've exhibited at any events before.
Yeah.
Maybe we'll try it next
Yeah,
time.
start to split it up. Have one person walking around, one person.
I'll walk around.
exhibiting.
I'll walk around. You man the table.
Sounds good.
So.
You have anything to add, Joe, before we move on?
Not only are networking events important, chambers of commerce as well. That was actually the Monmouth Regional Chamber of Commerce was where we were introduced to BarterSaves because at one of the networking breakfasts that they would have at the All Seasons Diner in Eatontown, I met Lisa. And
Is that Lisa Britt?
yes.
Yeah. Okay.
And we started talking, and then she called me while I was in the middle of doing other things for work, and then eventually I met with her here at our office, and then George, I think you came by, and Matt was there too, and one thing led to another, and we ended up joining the network, and it was interesting how through a Chamber of Commerce our two businesses were able to meet.
Yeah, with Chamber of Commerce, those are all business owners that want to market and meet new people and that are looking for, new customers, basically. And that's basically what we do. We're at the Chamber of Commerce. If you're to do business with other people there, you're paying cash, right? So we are like a Chamber of Commerce, but we buy and sell and,
Yeah.
That's where the little bit of a twist is. But chambers are great places to meet prospective Barter members because we have very similar goals.
All right, so I guess we'll move on to the story or lesson of the week. So at the end of each segment, as I was saying before, we go around the table. If anyone has a story or lesson of the week, doesn't have to be from this week, to share with the audience. Then we kind of have a little story time. If you guys like to start, do you want to start?
I love that one that you.
Yeah.
Why don't you just
So
start?
my story of the week is when you're wearing a mask, you have to go above and beyond your peppiness, happiness, and speaking that than you would regularly. Because I can't hear people when they wear masks, and I don't think people could hear me. And they get my food orders messed up most of the time because it's just eyes. And when I read people's lips, that's part of the communication process. So if people just have to be a little bit more friendly. So if you walk into a retail store or a food place, as opposed to the first thing you say to a customer is, you're not wearing a mask or you're not wearing your mask right, just be sure to be friendly, go, above and beyond, and start with hello, how are you? How can I help you? Instead of basically mask shaming people or going that route. But people need to show that they're smiling and happy with their eyes or their voice, since their half of their face is covered, and make people still feel welcome in your establishment. Because I've seen a lot of really negative things happen in businesses, not like our members, but I'm saying places that I go, and people just really need to be a lot more appreciative of customers walking into their business during these times, because people can choose to go anywhere and spend their money.
Right.
And the places where they're treated the best are the places where people will return.
Right.
Yeah, it's what do they say? You got to work like twice as hard for half the money now, right? And it's the businesses that really get that and are willing to put out the sort of effort
Right.
that are, I think, have a higher likelihood of making it, you know, because people will remember. You know, if you shamed somebody when you walked in just because the thing happened to slip down their right below their nose, or
Right.
look, people forget. Maybe, you know, for 40 something years, I didn't wear a mask, so there's been times I just forgot it in the car. I just wasn't thinking, you know, or so. I love that one, Rene. You know, be nice. Welcome to. I thank you for coming to our store today.
Right.
I really appreciate you being here. Is there anything you're looking for? Can I help you? Oh, by the way, do you have a mask? Yeah, you know, I know it's kind of a rule, you know, the mandate in New
Absolutely.
Jersey,
Yeah.
right? Doesn't all have to be like jump on people, you know. So
Yeah.
that's a great one, baby.
George, you have one, or are you just?
No, I'm piggybacking off of hers because hers is so awesome.
We both feel exactly the
Yeah.
same way.
Joe, I'll let you finish it off.
All right. So this story goes back to the networking segment. And back in January, before everything closed down, it was a very cold night, and there was a networking event at the Asbury Hotel right near the ocean up in Asbury Park. And there's this networking group that I'm thinking, oh, there might be a lot of new businesses here. I don't know if I'm going to know anyone, but that doesn't even matter whatsoever, because any networking event I have to go in knowing that I might be meeting someone for the first time. However, it is always nice to see familiar faces. And when I walked into this networking event, the first table I saw was the BarterSaves table. And George, I saw you and Rene. And you both flagged me down, said hello, your usual very happy selves. And it put me at ease knowing that I had two people there who I knew very well. And our businesses, in my opinion, are like best friends. So it put me at ease throughout the entire event. And it was just it was a good night. So
I'll tell you what. Thank you, Joe. Thanks for saying that. I really love the lesson of just putting yourself out there. You know, just like you need to build a brand, and don't think of it so transactionally. Life is not about the transaction; it's about the process of getting to the transaction.
Right.
So when you go there and you didn't know anyone, Joe, it's you're saying, hey, this is where I'm from. Everyday Espo. You know, we do great videos. I'm trustworthy, right? You're not trying to close a deal that day, right? You're trying to lay a foundation because that's just the nature, right?
Absolutely.
And then what happens over time is you can do enough of those, then things circle back. Maybe 6 months, maybe a year from now, maybe the next day someone calls you, right? But it's just putting the brand out there, putting it out there,
You know what was cool at that event was it wasn't our event. We were just there.
What was it?
But we had
Rosa?
about 10 Barter members show up to the event. And our table was almost like, our Barter family was gathering together. Because usually in the business world, your business is your business, his business is his business. But,
Right.
we had one common, we're all Barter family.
Yeah. But it's great. Put yourself out there. That's the big lesson, That's
Absolutely.
the big story and however you choose to do it, whatever medium, right? Because we're all distracted by so many ads a day and Facebook and whatever the heck else, right? So whether it be chambers, whether it be these networking events, whether it be doing ads for Facebook, whether it be creating video content, for your own channels, doing your own podcast, there's so many mediums, but just do it. Just do it. Keep building, and before you know it, you'll look back and people will be buying whatever you're selling.
Absolutely. So before we end things off, if you guys want to tell the audience how they can learn more about BarterSaves.
All right, go to www.bartersaves.com. You can enroll for free online or give us a call at 732-859-8694.
All right. And you guys have a podcast of your own. So everyone,
do.
feel free to check that out.
G-Money and the Godmother.
And the link is on the website too, right? You guys have it on the BarterSaves site. So make sure to check that out. You guys have dozens of episodes, way more than
I think 62
Wow.
Yeah,
episodes.
something like that,
We were
yeah.
doing it every week, BC, before Corona.
Yeah.
Now we're doing it basically once a month, but still I guess our 2-year anniversary is in
It's
January.
coming up.
Woo.
Yeah. Really enjoy it. It's a great way to profile businesses and get a little bit deep on an individual business. And so, yeah, definitely check it out because you might learn a few nuggets of things you didn't otherwise know to grow your business.
And for the audience, the next episode sneak peek, it's going to be titled Let's Talk Digital Marketing. So we're going to have a couple members of our digital marketing team on to talk all things digital marketing from EDE. Also, a couple shout outs. First off to Uncle Vinny, listening from Florida. Second off to the wonderful BarterSaves team for coming over and re-recording with us today. And lastly, to Ming and Mike of A Shared Universe. They run a great, podcast studio, and I'm sure you guys can attest to it. They're just really nice. They always accommodate us, so I wanted to give a shout out to them. Joe, you have anything else?
No, not much else to add, but I could do the plug for our social media.
Okay.
So feel free to check out our website. That's everydaypodcast.biz. That's B-I-Z. Follow us on Facebook at EveryDayPodcast FB, and on Instagram at EveryDayPodcast IG. Now, we do have cameras going, so this episode will be up on YouTube in a couple of weeks from the time of this recording. So for all of our episodes, feel free to slap the like button, turn on those notifications, and subscribe, because once we get a new episode, we want you to know about it. So that's pretty much all I have. So.
All right. Thanks, guys, for coming on.
Thank
See
you.
you guys.
Thanks for
All right,
having
thanks.
us. All right.